see what we got going on here. All right, folks. So, just wanted to do this quick, get a wrap up on the F1 race from today. See how many people are joined here. Aya Razor, can always count on you. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4. But just wanted to review the obviously the penalty to Vettel, and do just a quick wrap up of that and get opinions on that, and see. Obviously, Vettel and Ferrari appealed the penalty to themselves, the 5-second penalty, which placed them into took them out of the lead. It took the win basically away from them and placed them into second. Just wanted to do a wrap up on that and see if where the opinions lie, because during the live race, the discussion, there was obviously a ton on the Hamilton camp and a ton on the Vettel camp. So if we don't get too much discussion going in the next few seconds, then we'll just move on, and I'll see you next weekend. But let me see if anyone wishes to share their opinion here. Anyone of those of you who watched the race and saw the incident, I guess coming from I'll share my personal opinion, and then you can tell me what you guys think on that, which is, yes, some people believe that Vettel would succumb to the pressure that Hamilton was putting on him, because Hamilton was just closing, and Vettel even admitted in the post race press conference that he knew that Mercedes was quick, but he knew he was able to hold on to the lead. But at the same time, when Vettel was pushed into the mistake, he was pushed in a spot where he had to, he locked up, he had to run into grass. Now, for anyone who has any racing experience whatsoever, and I'm sure a lot of us do, I know I have some just very amateur racing experience, club days at local tracks and so on, that if your car runs into the grass, okay, two things are going to happen. One is you have to be careful, and you don't want to turn the steering wheel while you're in grass, because for a couple of reasons. One is if you get the car sideways in grass based on where you're racing, not one of these professionally groomed racing tracks, but if you do get the car sideways, you're might curb it, flip, higher chance of something going wrong, but you're going to have most control of the car keeping it straight through the grass. The second thing that happens is that grass on warm tires, especially the wide, super hot Formula One tires, is going to stick. And when you come out of the grass and try to apply throttle, it's going to be a little sketchy until you burn off whatever's there, and then you get some grip, and then you can continue. Now, for those of you who saw in slow motion what transpired there, when they did show the slow motion replay, that's pretty much exactly what happened. Vettel obviously knew after he locked up, he knew he was going to go through the grass. He lifted slightly, gets through the grass, keeps it straight, comes out, tries to turn and get his car turned onto the direction of the track, applies a little bit of throttle, and they show the car getting squirrely, which in turn forces him to get pushed further across the track than he may have wanted. And of course, Hamilton, being the aggressive driver he is trying to exploit the situation, which he should, and try to get by. However, he's also an experienced driver and can measure those situations better than pretty much anyone in the world. And I believe in seeing what's unraveling in front of him, he put himself in a position where one of two things can happen. Either he does get by, or two, he's in the position where if there isn't an accident, he can clearly complain about it because of an unsafe return to the track by Vettel, or claim that was an unsafe return onto the track by Vettel, and hope a penalty is imposed. So he put himself in a position where he knew he could do that. He also put himself in a position where he could have been taken out, where if Vettel tried to sort of put down a little bit more throttle than he did, he could have gotten even more squirrely, pushed even further, and there could have been contact. But there was no contact. So somehow Hamilton, put it to the stewards. They filed, Mercedes filed the complaint with the stewards. It was reviewed, and a 5-second penalty was imposed on Vettel. Go figure. During the post-race press conference, even Hamilton said this was a racing incident. He said, and he shoved it off as that's racing. Well, that's exactly why that penalty should not exist, because he's acknowledging that the intention, obviously, if you say that's racing, what you're acknowledging is that's what happens when you have cars racing in close proximity. Things happen that are out of control a little bit, and that's why you'll hear that phrase, that's racing. When someone intentionally punts another car off the track to take them out of a race for whatever malicious reason, or for the amount of points that they might get that might help them in the standings, then that's malicious, and that's not racing. So Hamilton was he pretty much acknowledged that this was a racing incident. If you listen to the commentators, and of course the McLaren fans are going to say that the commentators were just crying about it, and the Ferrari fans are wimpy. And listen, I'm a Ferrari fan. However, I'm not. I don't dislike any other team. There's no team I dislike in Formula One. I like all the teams. I just like Ferrari a little bit more. Simple as that. And I'll just be as forthcoming as possible with that. So I think what happens is when you get the true passionate Mercedes fans out there analyzing the situation, you'll hear a lot of Vettel should have just steered away from Hamilton, but he was looking to push him off the track. Very, very, very difficult assessment to have. I think, like I said, if you have racing experience, you could, and even if you're not a Ferrari fan, but you have a racing experience, you can relate a little bit more to the situation that Vettel was in, and probably not say something like that. But for those people with maybe minimal racing experience, as far as having a car on the track and having that experience of what it's like to put a car off track or not off track, then it's easier to say Vettel messed up. So you heard people like I think Jenson Button and Mario Andretti were quoted as saying they have no idea why the penalty was assessed. All the commentators, broadcasters were saying, they have no idea how that penalty could be given in that situation. Obviously, the only one who I've heard to believe that it was 100% clear penalty are the Mercedes fans. I get it. It's good. It's always good to be passionate, and it's hard to take a step back outside the box and kind of assess. But that was a tough one, man. I mean, I'm not going to say that was an easy call. That was a tough one. But anyone wants to jump in the comments, let me know what you're thinking. Not easy. Not easy. But anyway, it was nice to have that sort of that live race discussion. Unfortunately, the stream was taken down by Periscope due to rebroadcasting and a DMCA complaint that was filed by one of the viewers. Obviously and ultimately my bad, thinking that ESPN, the ESPN website, who was streaming it live, obviously an ESPN website, it's not a subscription site, it was completely free, and us discussing the race live with the race in the background and no sound, and my continuous input and comments would be an infraction. So I apologize for the stream getting cut. We were on for a while, but I guess my bad there. But that was a great race. A lot of good discussion. We had a lot of people jumping in, and in the discussions, a lot of good viewpoints. A lot of good, passionate fans were chiming in, and we had a good time there. So, all right. It seems like maybe more people went to bed. Not many people looking to jump in on this. I'm sure you'll see on my Twitter stream. Obviously, Ferrari's appealing it. We'll find, I'm sure, within 24, 48 hours more. We'll hear more on that, with whether or not the appeal is valid, or if what the stewards think. I've never seen a decision by the stewards in a live race. I can't remember one, and if I'm not thinking of it, but where something has been overturned due to an appeal. Vokes VR6. All right. Nice. I had a VR6. I had a Jetta GLX VR6. So, welcome. Maybe you saw even earlier. I think I was wearing I don't have it on right now. I have my VW Motorsport shirt on. Good to have you with us. But anyone who, as I was saying, anyone who has any more input on that, feel free to join in. I think I'm going to cut this broadcast early, like I said. Not many people jumping in on the discussion here, but we'll hear within the next couple days what's going on. I'll try to think of a new format. The live race discussion was great feedback, and I got to figure out another way of having a similar setting without, obviously, the race running in the background. That's going to get anyone in trouble, even if it's coming directly off ESPN website that is free for the entire world to access, except me with Periscope. So I apologize again for getting cut short. Okay, I think Vettel was wronged by the FIA. I agree. I think I agree with you. I think if a penalty were to be assessed, that it wasn't one that clearly was designed in that situation to just swap the 1 and 2 place cars. If you're gonna, there are monetary penalties. Hit him in the pocketbook. I mean, you see a clean drive like that from start to finish, and then because of an incident where a guy locks up and does his best to control his car through grass and come back onto the track where it's not a wide section of the track, as Hamilton is trying to squeeze by in the curb area between the wall. I mean, that's a tough call, man. I mean, jeez. Sana Shumi would have just kept on racing, not just the fun. Well, they did keep on racing. Vokes, they definitely kept on racing. And I think initially you saw Hamilton back off, and there was a pretty soon 1.5 second gap between 1 and 2, between Vettel back to Hamilton. Excuse me. And and then I think, as one of the viewers was saying, maybe to let some brakes cool down a little bit, give for Hamilton, and give himself a way to push in the closing laps. That's a possibility, but the stewards just clearly stole this one from, just took it away from Hamilton. From Vettel. Vettel had an amazing race. It's a shame. It's a shame it came to that, but we'll see. We'll see what happens in the appeals. But all right, I think that's a wrap. Any questions, comments, suggestions, you could always hit me up on Twitter. It's where I live. At Flyin18T, Flyin, the number 1, the number 8, and the letter T. And that name originated from my Jetta GLI 1AT back in the day. So there's a little trivia for you, Volks VR6. So that's the deal. All right, I appreciate you guys jumping in, and hope to see you again soon. And like I said, hopefully we can do another live discussion during a race in the near future, and without getting in trouble for it. All right. Have a good day. Have a good week.